I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:30. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up is to amend the agenda. And I would like to move to amend the agenda to add executive session at the end of our meeting for personnel matters. I second the motion. Is there any discussion? Emma? Aye. 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 All right, so we're gonna go into executive session. Next up is to approve our previous minutes from the January 21st meeting.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second. Is there any discussion?
I noticed that, yeah,
Yeah.
I noticed that under development, quick, Bob Quint's name's listed twice.
Oh.
No biggie, but
Emma, how do you vote? Aye.
I,
Aye. Aye. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? We're going to get into new business. First up is an action item. Consider the approval of the fiscal year 27 5-year capital plan. Included in this plan are the following transfers to the general fund with a total of $100,199, $33,746 to cover expenses for upfitting a new police cruiser, $12,348 to cover an unbudgeted payment for a 2024 case loader, $32,634 for an unbudgeted bond payment for a new HVAC system at Town Hall, $21,471 to cover interior painting of the Town Hall completed in 2025.
Okay, this going through the agenda, what we're doing is we're taking care of the votes that are going to be necessary to get to the final vote of the budget amount and the warning. And the warning has to be approved by tomorrow, so there's not a lot of wiggle room here. So in the 5-year capital plan, the purpose is to identify only the next fiscal years as voted as kind of written in stone. We have a $50,000 contribution in the budget for that. The out years get reevaluated every year, but it's a way to show that we are paying attention to some of our, not the big overall capital plans like streets and all that kind of stuff, but our bigger equipment and things like that. The other side of it is there are categories within the capital plan for specific items in specific departments. The expenditures here are all things that meet within those different departments. So the cruiser is my fault. We bought a new car. Usually we finance the radios and all the stuff you got to do to turn it into a police car. We only got a loan for $23,000, which covered the vehicle. So we have money in the capital reserve to fund this type of police expense. The case loader is, we got a very competitive loan, but the loan usually we pay starting the year out. We had to pay one this year in order to get the rate. So that wasn't in the budget, but we have money in the capital reserve for major equipment. The HVAC, normally when we bond, we don't pay the first bond till a year from inception, but this was again 2.25% rate, but this is the bond we have to pay every month. So there's $32,000 that weren't in the budget this year when we did the roof. And the painting of the town hall is what was intended to come from the capital fund when we painted the interior here last year. So the select board can move money from the capital fund to pay for certain things. That's what it's there for. So my point here is usually just vote to expend the money, but since we were calculating in what the final values for the capital fund would be, that if you vote to approve the capital budget as it's presented, you're also going to be approving these transfers.
And so we're voting on this right now.
If there was a motion, second, more discussion.
Gotcha.
Question. So if we're voting on the capital plan, when we're looking at that whole, is this subtracting from the amount we're doing from the budget from the capital, or is this like over what we were kind of, you know what I'm?
It's taking money from the current balance
Okay.
and allocating it. So it's reducing the current balance. And the other thing it's doing is allocating 50,000 for fiscal 27 to go in.
Okay, so it's taking that, but then we're putting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question on this. On the, the 5-year capital budget, it's under the fire departments. And after brush truck comes the quality ladder truck.
Yeah.
Which then reappears on the next page for fire and ambulance. So I'm not quite sure why it shows up twice. The other one is that the one we're going to purchase is this money we still owe on the current one.
What are you saying? Which one we're going to purchase?
Well,
Are you-
you see the first listing of the ladder truck?
Sure.
Okay, and then it's on the next page, it's in the pink section.
Right.
It's listed again, quality ladder truck to purchase in fiscal year 2027.
Right. There's two components. Let's say the blue section, that is cash allocations going in cash balances in the account. The pink section is basically the refresh rate for our major equipment and the expectation that we'll be borrowing some funds for that using a combination of down payments and borrowing. So for the ladder truck in particular, round numbers, we have 400,000 saved for it. The expectation is the truck's going to cost around $9.
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom section shows a 900,000 purchase price, but a $500,000 loan. So you would take the money, the 400,000 that's saved, borrow 5, and then that's what's reflected in the pink section. That's why.
So the 50 is there to add to that fund for the down payment on the truck?
Now the 50, if you look to the way this printed, it's the top of the second page. If you take the 2027 totals, it just happens to be next year, all 50,000 is going to the ladder truck. That's not normal. So yeah,
Right.
That's putting it into that savings.
So that's adding to that fund to buy the ladder truck.
Right.
Okay, and then the pink is anticipation of what expenses would be in the future, depending on what we find and what we buy.
Right.
Okay.
Has there been a motion?
So I think we just need a motion and
I'll make a motion that we approve the 5-year capital plan for FY 27 with the inclusions listed below for outfitting a police cruiser, for a case loader, for a bond payment for the new HVAC system, and for the painting for the town hall.
I will second that. Is there any more discussion? Mary, how do you vote? Aye. Aye. Alright. Next up, action item, consider approval of the general fund budget value of $7,359,940 for town meeting vote.
Okay, so you have the budget. It's the same one that you got last week. If you highlights here are the total projected spending increase from this is 6.12%. But the projected tax increase is 9.95%, but that's because there's been a 3 point some odd% reduction in revenue from outside sources, specifically the ambulance fund. So the reduction in outside revenue plus increase in spending gets you pretty close, within a couple of tenths or hundredths of a percent on the tax increase. So
I have a quick thing. At the town, since the discussion of the ambulance revenue decline seemed to indicate that they're pretty likely to reverse the decline. Are you going to present it that way at town meeting?
yeah, I'll present, we will have this November, December, January, and February numbers by then, and we'll see how it's going. If we hadn't run deficits the last 2 years, this would be where I'd say, let's roll the dice. If we come up wrong, we can just pull from reserves. But with a $250,000 deficit last year, I would much rather be in a position to say, let's say it all comes back and we have an extra 100,000 in revenue. Maybe that gives everybody an opportunity to buy down next year's tax rate, to add the reserve or capital funds. I would err on that side. That's why I like to go.
So our taxes would really go up. Percent?
On the town side of the taxes.
Right. And you
We're about
don't think about the school yet.
I do. As they're looking at about a 6% increase in spending and a 16% increase in taxes.
So what is the total?
12, 13.
The way our taxes would go up 12 to 13%.
So I found that out from Larry Dower, today's Wednesday, on Monday. And it's not good. We can have conversations about why it's not good. But I think in this environment, if you said we're going to increase spending 6% in the labor market the way it is, most people would say that's okay. There's all kinds of voodoo that goes into the schools tax rate that the state gives them. And ours, like I said, we rely a lot on outside revenue. And in order to change that dynamic, we're talking about cutting hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our budget. And at the 11th hour is not the time to do that. And we've already gone through this last time when the school tax was going up 19%. We didn't fund anything in the reserve fund. We cut everything back to next to nothing. And then we ran a $250,000 deficit. So if you believe in the services that we provide and people believe in the services the school provides, then I suggest everybody advocate for that. And if it doesn't pass, the world doesn't end, but it gives you time to say, okay, it didn't pass. Why not? All right, now let's make those adjustments. But the school's going to be in the same position. They didn't, add a lot to their spending. So talking about significant changes in the way they do their work. The other point, and I know there's you have to defend your positions. Me in particular, because it's my job. And, I'll be putting something out Friday of next week that every so many years I go out and I take all the property values and tax rates and tax bills in Windsor County and just see where Windsor falls in. And Windsor in the past had 24 towns, had like the 14th lowest, if you want to put it that way, tax bill. So right in the middle of the pack. We're now 21st lowest. The average tax increase for Windsor this is between 2012 and 2025. 2012 is the first year I did it. I'm not just picking a year that makes us look good. But our increase has been like 22%. The average bill from like 4,000 to 5. The average increase in Windsor County is 60. So if I'm looking at how do we do our jobs, I think the school board has done what they needed to do, and we've done what we needed to do. And to me, that shows there's outside pressures that are creating this burden. and not the local spending. And as I mentioned before, Windsor taxpayers only pay for 37% of the money that is spent. It doesn't really help when you're having a hard time paying that 37%. But when you're relying on other revenue sources for a lot of things, it makes you susceptible to good times having those things increase and bad times having go down.
We have a motion to consider the approval of the general fund budget. I move to consider the approval of the general fund budget for the value of $7,359,940.
Second it.
Is there any more discussion?
I would just offer, I think the budget committee is free to vote if you just want to hear what they have to say, but obviously they don't count.
Okay. Do you all feel confident about the budget that they've put together?
Are we gonna change right now? I guess.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
we can do whatever we want if we need to. I feel like the budget was thoughtfully done.
Does the budget committee come back and engage if the budget is voted down?
I assume so. It's never happened, at least on my watch.
I don't think we have a lot of options right now. And if you look at increases everywhere, it's not like it's out of hand. Again, I think we're just suffering from the problem that the towns have not been allowed to grow by the policies of the state. And we're seeing that now. It took a long time for that to happen. And everybody was happy with feeling that we don't have to have the same kind of growth that other states and other towns have, that Vermont somehow could survive without it. We're seeing we can't. And now we're paying for it.
What kind of, what are you thinking of? Like how did the state prevent winds?
Act 250, nothing else to say. Act 250 basically stopped any kinds of larger development in commercial and residential for the last 20 years. And it was by design. The state wants to stop that. Now, and they look at it and say, well, oh, we don't have any money and we only have 600,000 people left in the state, and you divide it all up and this is what you get when you look at your budget. So I'm saying, well, let's relax those standards. Well, they haven't even processed through the regulations to be able to do anything yet. So it's years away before that would happen. Took 20 years to get here. It's going to take 20 years to get out of it.
Well, I would say that from my perspective, it seems like the town has taken a responsible and proactive approach to expenses that keep the town on a good trajectory, even though it's tough. It involves some tough calls.
And I agree. That's the point, though. It's not the expense side that's hurting us. It's the revenue side that's hurting us.
Well, and I agree with everything
Yes.
Cliff is saying. The other thing, just to put both sides out there, the homestead rebate program, the sending towns and receiving towns is part of that equation too. So that the Stows and the Killingtons and the Wilmingtons and all the ski resort areas that benefited from some growth, because they said we want to be a recreation community. So how can we spread that out so that everybody sees some of the benefit? That too has been in place a long time and people bake that into their budgets. So I don't know what the world would look like if that wasn't there and people who lived in Stowe paid $1.99 a year for their property taxes and everybody else was paying $50,000. I don't know, but that redistribution of the tax income was part of that. Let's keep it rural. And as you know, I hear when I go to state public hearings or even locally, it's not like there's this universal what it is I don't want to pay for it, but I don't want it to change. It's kind of the same thing as here. I don't want to pay anymore, but I also don't want, don't go build something in my backyard. Don't take my homestead away. All of the other programs that Windsor, Vermont has. So I don't see anything changing, significantly. For us, it could be if we advocate for development at the prison, which again is not 100% supported in the community, but that's the only thing that could meaningfully change the tax burden. And even with that, let's say they build $50 million homes, $1 million homes. That could change our median household income to a degree that we get less of the state funding of our education. And that's really why so many of the other towns have gone up so much more than us. It's not the other towns are municipally are spending willy-nilly. But a couple of years ago when we got hit with 19%, but you heard other towns getting hit with 30 some odd percent education increases, that's what they're living with too.
I think we're ready to vote. Emma, how do you vote? Aye.
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 All right, next up, action item, consider approval of the following bond question. Shall general obligation bonds or notes in the amount not to exceed $500,000, subject to reduction by the application of federal and state grant and aid and reserve funds, be issued for the purpose of acquiring a ladder truck? The estimated cost of such improvements being $750,000. And, oh, sorry, that's another action item. So yeah. That's our action item.
Shame on me for not matching up 750 on the question with 900 on the capital thing. Truth of the matter is we're hoping we can get one for 500,000 and not really have to use the bond, but it's all depending on what's available in the used market. None of them, no consideration for a new truck.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $5,000 bond, not to exceed $500,000.
I will second that. Is there any discussion?
This is not us spending this money. This is us giving ourselves like,
The availability.
This is
The
just
wiggle.
putting it on the town meeting, like the people.
And just for this one or any bond question, board's got to authorize putting it on the warning. And then vote for it on the warning. And then in order to spend the money in any amount, it comes back to the board and you have to authorize spending $1 or 500,000 from it. So there's 2 more votes that happen after this before anything can get spent.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next action item, consider approval of the following bond question. Shall general obligation bonds or notes in the amount not to exceed $1,500,000, subject to reduction by the application of federal and state grant and aids and reserve funds, be issued for the purpose of a dam repair reimbursement, completing a skate park, and constructing town highways, the estimated cost of such improvements being $1,500,000.
Need to know anything else? I went over that the other day, but that's reimbursing expenses from 2012, finishing the skate park, and more than likely
Fixing our roads.
redoing Central and Turkey. Like we have the engineering done for that. And again, those are all individual decisions that the board would have an opportunity to make if the bond question passes.
Need a motion?
Yep.
Okay. I would like for us to approve the bond question. Not the bond not to exceed $1,500,000.
I second.
Is there any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. And action item, consider approval of 2027 town meeting warning.
So I have the actual hard copy with me. It is the same as what was presented last week. So by approving that, it incorporates all the things you've done prior to this. Goes out to the public. We'll start posting it. The town meeting public session is the Monday night before, so that's March 2nd. That's the process that happens from here.
Just want to let you know that as per the board, I did reach out to Rachel's Kitchen and wrote an email on behalf of the board. I haven't heard anything, but invited them to please come and speak at town meeting.
Thank you.
That was my question, not
Okay.
just for that one, but for others. Have we had any feedback from any of the other agencies?
Riley has had back and forth, but nothing like to that kind of point. But I can have her reach out and say the warning is out. This is the date and time. We encourage you to.
Good, good. I think that's so helpful for us to hear from each agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2027 town meeting warning.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Mary, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
And now we're gonna move into old business with town manager search update. The town manager position was posted on the town website last Friday. It was slightly modified today. And ads will be going out next week, right?
Yeah, within a week, it'll be out
Yep.
on national sites to do this kind of thing and state.
So that is where we are with the town manager search.
Looks great. I think it looks great. Yeah.
It really
I
does.
thought it looked good too. I like it.
It's nice we have nice things. He'd asked for a lot of pictures of Windsor, but like always, it comes back to the covered bridge. And
It's like your classic, like the classic Windsor picture.
yeah, I think it should be an attractive position. I think you did a good job describing what's involved. So it's actually pretty good. And there's a button on the homepage. It just says town manager position. So not there for anybody. Good.
That's good. And next up, National Street Housing Updates. Tom?
Well, there should have been a house here already. It's not weather related and trucking things out this way. So there wasn't just us. So they're redoing their logistics to get them here. I did confirm that this isn't assembled once they get here. These are coming, the rectangles and put on site. So they'll be here. They have, like contracted with a drone to do aerial filming of the install, and we'll have Windsor on air. So there'll be that. And then we talked, we'll have an opportunity for the board to go.
Awesome.
That reminds me, what's going on, speaking of drone coverage of the install, what's going on with the Windsor Diner?
The contractors involved in that, you know what they do? They tell you it's going to be done by a certain date, but they tell everybody the same date and then they see who's pushing back. I mean, originally it was August and then it was January. So all I know is Blanchard, who's involved in it, is also involved in this 8 and 18 Main Street where they're rehabbing, the big buildings there. And, not everything goes according to plan sometimes. So I'm not aware of any dissatisfaction. I know Teresa is operating another restaurant over in Claremont. So that's their business, but it's still moving forward. There's no reason other than scheduling that it hasn't made progress.
All right. I do public comments, sign orders, board member comments, and then executive session, correct?
Yeah.
Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Do we have orders to sign tonight?
You do?
So we would need motion to sign order.
Motion to sign orders.
Is there any discussion? Mary, how do you vote? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Send them on down.
Okay, there is a black pen attached to the warning. Riley asked that it be signed in black, so if you don't have one in front of you, there's one with
Good gracious.
it. Yeah, the end of the pen is.
I had to double check.
Emma, do you have a board member comment?
I'm still thinking.
Okay. Jeffrey?
I don't.
I don't either.
We have this one too.
I'm glad I changed my mind. I do. I'm glad that the budget part is wrapping up. Even though I don't think it was the number anybody wanted, but so glad it's wrapping up. Mary, do you have a board member comment?
Really don't. I think it's been a tough week, a tough month for everybody in the community, everybody across the country. So
Mhm.
um, I'm glad it's winding up too. We go back to our regular meetings. Right? About it. Everybody should stay calm.
This is my third budget now, and I still am working on trying to understand it fully. But I do think after this process that a lot of real thought was put in by both the budget committee and the present select board members. And I feel that I'm really grateful to the budget committee for asking really good questions that I did not have in my wheelhouse. And I am looking forward to new things for Windsor and the select board doing a good job in the upcoming month, as a lot of things are about to change.
For you budget committee members, I think we have select board members who served on the budget committee. It's a great training ground. Should you ever decide to expand your public service and stand for office in the future? It's,
I'll run and Michael will run.
you'll
Aaron, stay on.
say somebody and Michael?
Yeah, I could run and then Michael could run and Mary could be on it and we could take over this town.
Kind of thought you did officially already. I know the pressures I feel in my office from the McNaught family.
They just getting started.
So now I move to go into executive session for personnel matters, 1 BSA 313.
No vote.
No vote will be taken. I would need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Mary?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And with that, we'll move into executive session. Thank you so much to all of you on the budget committee. You guys have been wonderful.